Good morning, Mr. William.
Oh, g'day, Mark. This is the third podcast we do for this week, and we've got one more to go after this, and it's been a real mix of stories, hasn't it?
And it's been fascinating.
That's right. Now, Mark, a fact of the day.
Okay, yes.
Right. On this day in 2003, do you know what happened?
No idea.
USA invaded Iraq. What a coincidence.
Dear. Oh, dear.
Right?
Yeah, and they were looking for something, weren't they? Weapons of mass destruction.
That's right.
And here we are today. Oh,
but if you go back to 1974 this week, the embargo was I'll start that again. The world embargo on oil was lifted because Trump supported Israel in the Egyptian war. There's a lot of coincidences going on here, isn't it? And then we lived, and you may remember, that we were on petrol rationing in 1974.
In 1974, I'll show my age, I was working at a servo pumping petrol, and I was the most hated because we used to physically
odds
pump
and evens
petrol.
We had here in Victoria.
Yeah, well, we had you lined up, and then I would walk down the queue of 200 cars, work out roughly how far we could handle it, and put a sign on the back of the car, last car. But I would take note of the number plate because by the time that car came through, the sign had moved another 50 cars down the queue. Oh, the world.
Anyway, we shouldn't laugh because it is really serious. So,
today's guest, Bill.
Today's guest is Adam Natonewski. Sorry, Adam, is that right? I knew I'd stuff it up.
I apologise.
We did do some training earlier, but I would like to say Natonewski.
Good on you. And Adam is the principal at Ray White Real Estate in Highton.
Welcome, Adam.
Correct.
All right. Well, Adam, we just explain to you that we will run through our normal routine. And, of course, the first question is, where did you go to primary school?
Yeah, no worries. Well, probably a good segue as to your intro there, talking around 1974 and the other, what happened in 2003. I was born in 1981, so in between those two great eras, and attended Nazareth Primary School in Grovedale.
Okay.
Yeah, the red jumper and the green pants. So I think they are still those colours today and still operating with, quite strong in that neighbourhood. But, yeah, great little Catholic school.
Yeah, well, it's... since that day, of course, that whole population around there has grown and grown, and we know what's happened south of the railway line as far as schools go. So from primary school to where?
To Catholic Regional College. I think that's where the majority of my friendship group was headed. So that's where I went, and that was formerly St. Mary's. That didn't probably go to plan because I was sort of asked to vacate that school in year 8
due
to maybe a little bit of misbehaviour.
To put real estate spin on it, you didn't pay the rent. You were evicted, is that right?
I was, not formally evicted, but it was heading that way and sort of asked to leave. So I was sort of happy to do that, and at that time was playing football at the Grovedale Tigers and living in Grovedale still as well. So I went up to Grovedale College, or secondary college at that time.
Yep.
And that was probably a really good, move for me, and it changing in direction because of my whole personality and friendship group, and things really started to spark up. Then going from the town lifestyle and the concrete jungle as what it was to more of a sporting school and just more relaxed atmosphere. And that's where I eventually met my wife, actually, too, Ellison. So, it worked out to be a really, really good move.
Well, at secondary college still going there because they've got a good indoor sporting centre because I've been to netball and basketball there for grandkids.
They do.
Yeah, that's
so I was
right.
there on Tuesday night. So, it's come a long way since I was there. They've obviously had some funding and it's, again, still well attended. And I think there's probably been some good success stories. Even in my year, we finished in 1999. That year, 12 years, seen, I'd say, half a dozen really, really good stories come out of there, just with some great success stories of some of the students there.
That's good. That's very good.
Interesting parallel. We interviewed the principal at Northern Bay College, which is the Cryo postcode. All the schools have been amalgamated into one. And there's some great success stories now coming out of Northern Bay College. Anyway, we'll move on.
So, Adam, while you were at high school, any dreams about what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that was a childhood dream of mine, is to be a land baron, I used to call it, like a property developer, a property guru, all things property, and be a multi-millionaire. And if you got hold of any of my friends from back then, even my parents would attest to me writing down, even if I lent someone 20 cents, I would have a list in my bedroom of who owes me what, even to that, nominal amount of 20 cents, 50 cents, $1.70, whatever, and I would chase that down and never let it go.
Did you charge interest?
At that time, never interest, but probably should have. But always from that young age had an interest in money, making money, how to make money, how to get rich, all of that. Yep. Come from a very humble family home. Of mum was a factory worker, dad was middle management, and we didn't have a lot of money. Yep. Separated family thereafter, but so we did things tough, but that's not how I wanted to live. I saw people with some money and nice shiny cars and everything that was new, and that's where I wanted to go.
So what was your first job out of school?
First job out of school, so as a year 7, 13-year-old, I wrapped newspapers at the Peter Street News Agency. So I would get up at 3:45, ride my push bike down maybe 1.5 kilometres down to Peter Street in Grovedale from where we lived, and I would work out of a shed and wrap newspapers ready for the paper boys to do their runs, which they would arrive at 6:30. So my job was them to get them ready. So and that was for $5 an hour
in the days of when people actually read newspapers. And we've had a few. We've had a few guests that used to do paper rounds. I remember one guy saying that on a Saturday morning with the Saturday Age and the Saturday Herald or Sun, as it was in those days, he had to push his bike; it was too heavy to ride.
Good. How things have changed though. Like I just wouldn't think. Like I've got 4 of my own kids, and I just wouldn't see them with that same work ethic being a 13-year-old. It's hard enough to get them to empty the dishwasher now, let alone get up at 3:45. Ride down in the freezing cold and wrap newspapers.
Yeah, but the difference there, crazy. Adam, is they'll be tech freaks, right?
Freaks, yeah.
And we weren't. Yeah.
No. I was getting $5 an hour. I'd work for 2 hours of the morning, so $10 a day.
Whoa.
$60 a week for a 13-year-old. And I was thinking I was making plenty then, which was great. It was good. It was a good grounding, a good training, and I guess it taught me work ethic.
That's right. Cool. So what about when you left secondary school? What was your first real job?
First serious job, I guess I did the supermarkets and I did McDonald's, so I did all that. But then first serious job out of school, I worked at BBQ Galore, again in Grovedale, Torquay Road there, retail superstore, which was selling barbecues, wood fires, anything to do with camping goods at that time as well, which I really enjoyed because I was a bit of an outdoorsy type of person. So I really enjoyed, just learning about sleeping bags and tents and barbecues and the differences in burners and regulators. And then we got into vacuums and spas and all sorts of technical stuff, which I, not being a plumber or anyone really quite intelligent, I didn't think, but learning how to read plans, learning how to put pipes together and flue wood heaters and things like that, working with plumbers. And that was really quite intricate and interesting. And I found that I learnt a lot through that. Worked with some great guys, Peter and Freddie. Again, great training, I think, from 2 of the greatest salespeople of all time. One being Freddie. He's just an outstanding guy and just one of a kind. I don't think his salesmanship or the way he does sell stuff would probably fly nowadays. He'd probably be up on a few assault charges, and maybe some of the ways he went about it was, maybe can't be spoken about here, but it was fun at the time and it was accepted.
And this week, and I read, unfortunately, BBQs Galore have gone into administration.
Oh, I did read that too, I believe they're still okay being a franchise. But
a change of the times, isn't it?
It is concerning. Yeah, retail would be very hard to be a part of.
That's
definitely very hard to make $1 and survive.
And you're up against...
That was where...
Yeah. Sorry, you're up against the big green box. Ones. The big green box has killed all of that.
100%, yeah. It's very, very difficult. But back to that, started as a trainee. I did a traineeship and did that through, I think it was regional group training, it was called back then. I was working, again, for nothing as you get back then. Minimum standards were very low, but did it, ticked it off, and then stayed on. They kept me on, and I worked into a store manager position after about 3 to 4 years. So it was
That's good.
It was fantastic again as a early 20s, running a store of a few people, but turning over a couple of $1 million, holding $300,000 or $400,000 worth of stock and inventory at the time. So that was a very important job, and I really enjoyed it. And that's, obviously from there I went to real estate, but that's what my first serious job out of school was.
So what got you into real estate? What led to that first real estate job?
It was the interest in property. I guess I was a young landlord at the time, so I bought a property at 19, my wife and I. We rented that out and we managed that privately. So again, I thought I was better and knew everything more than anyone else. So I taught myself how to do everything. Like we still come across these people out there. I was very wrong, definitely, but managed to get through. And that was definitely a good start to real estate, good dipping the toe in. But I guess how I got in was family. My cousin Vanessa, namely, would be always at me just saying, look, you got gift of the gab, you should be selling houses. Like that's where you should be. Like you can sell anything, ice to the Eskimos, all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, that's a good thing. But always had that in the back of my mind going, how do I do it? Would I be any good? Would I fail? All of that stuff. But I ended up attending an information evening for a competing brand in Geelong, which was Barry Plant at that time, and went along to that information evening. You had to get up in front of everyone that was there and say a few things about yourself, which would get pretty daunting. But I was a pretty confident 22, 23-year-old at that time, so did it, and then was fortunate enough to get a call back after that evening to be offered an interview and a job, which was so exciting. So I took that up and thought, what have I got to lose? Let's have a go at this. Thrown into the deep end, didn't really know what I was heading into and what real estate as I know it today, and the way we structure new people coming into our business is completely different to what I was given. I was given a desk, a phone and a computer, and at that time we would check our emails. It wasn't obviously a very immediate thing back then. You would check your emails once a week. Flip phones were quite new, text messages were quite new, so it was a funny era, a bit of a changing of the guard, but it was just like, there's your desk, go and sell real estate. And it's like, well, okay. Look around the room and I'm going, okay, who are all these hot shots? So, and later I learned that, they come and go. Like some are quite good, some are very average, some don't last. Some are still working real estate today and still not making any money. So it's, it depends. You get out of it what you put in. I've definitely learned that.
Because from an outsider point of view, it always appears that the starting point in real estate is managing rental property.
Yes, I just had this conversation about 30 minutes ago with my niece, actually, that's just finished school, wants to be in real estate. Everyone sees the flashy lifestyle and goes, you've got flexibility with time, you play a lot of golf and you do whatever you want to do. And that's all good and well, but it's like, what about the 20 years of hard work in the trenches that I've done to get here?
Yep.
That's what that's where you're at. You've got to do your course and start with that. You've got to finish that. Show me that you're competent in completing something. So that's the very first thing. And then you come in generally as a leasing manager or reception or in the rental department. And that's where you can cut your teeth and learn the trade. That's probably what you've heard from the other guys that have been in real estate that you've interviewed as well, is that's the best place to start. That gives you a good understanding of what a landlord is, what a vendor is. Like at the time, I didn't know what a Section 32 is. I don't know what a vendor is. You don't know what any of that stuff is. And some people are textbook smart. They can read it, retain it. I'm not one of those. I need to I'll read it, turn pages and go, okay, finish that and can't remember a thing that I've read. My dad and my brother are very, very good readers. I still to this day don't think I've finished a book in my life that I haven't skipped a page or just totally blanked out of a page. So I don't know. Yeah.
Adam, you need an AI agent. That's what you need. Right.
That's what I need. I know.
Yeah. Tell me, how did you end up with a? You're the licensee, aren't you? At
I am.
Ray White?
Yes.
How did you end up becoming involved and taking on that challenge?
Another interesting story, because it's something in a position I didn't think I'd ever find myself in. But I was working I started in Barry Plant, transferred over from Geelong to Warm Ponds, where I knew the neighbourhood a bit better a couple of years later. And then I was sort of poached and approached by Ray White, a guy, Daniel Hayes, that's sort of a fairly popular name around Geelong.
Yeah, he is.
So I went and worked with Daniel or Danny for about 5 years and just climbed the ranks of the Ray White, group.
Yeah.
and become quite a good agent amongst, their ranks, which was good. About 2010, we were a very, very dominant office. I think we sold about 503 homes that year. So it was, even to today's standards, there's no office doing that. We do about half that. So it's, that just goes to show how successful we were back then. That team was just phenomenal. After about 3 weeks, flew to Queensland, got my license, like Queensland real estate license, which I then had to get transferred to a Victorian license. Working with Ray White, they were always wanting to maintain an office in the area, so I was working with them behind the scenes. We secured what was the video shop that I'm currently in, and that was next door at the time. Obviously, they were fading out at that time because of Netflix and all of that. Yep. So they offered me some space. I took half of their shop, sublet, and started basically trading as Ray White Highton very soon after, right next to Hayes Winkle. So that was a combat in itself.
Are you in the village, are you?
We're in Highton Village, yeah. We're still there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but the Highton Village is a great village, and I know there were plans to rip up the street and do all sorts of things. I just hope they never touch it. Leave it the village it is.
Correct. It's a beautiful vibe. Yeah, it really is. It's, there's a couple of real estate agencies, but still a lot of retail, some great cafes around. Never enough parking, but that's the same, all across Geelong, no matter where you go, you always struggle to get a park. But the vibe in the village is, we did for a short while, worked out of Packington Street or down Geelong West there for a while we were getting our office set up. And I felt like a part of me was missing, like it just wasn't the same going to work over there. It was just, I hated it. And when I got back to the village, you could breathe easy again. It's really a great feel here. The people are lovely, and they're trying to do, there's a little committee amongst business owners here. They're always trying to do something, the Traders Association. So there's always things at Easter and Christmas, and I think things moving forward in the future will get even better.
Yeah, that's good.
So day one, when you got the keys and you were Ray White Highton, how did you feel?
Oh, fairly proud. So that was 2011, July 2011. That was a super proud moment. And I was in partnership with another gentleman that I since bought out pre-COVID. So we did it together. Lasted 10 years. I think we had a good 10-year partnership. And then as most partnerships do, they dissolve, a little bit of friction, whatever reason. Ended up buying him out. And he's since opened another business up the road under another brand as well. So still, in the industry and still a competitor, but still a good operator. And that's left me here being the complete sole director here, which I think, it's again, super proud to say that, because there's not a lot of businesses around that do have just one director. Michael DeStefano might be one of those. But the others have all got 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 directors amongst their business, which I think would be very complicated. And again, hard to make a dollar out of.
It's a brave step. Though we've interviewed a few people over, and the words "being brave" pop up, and I would say that fits you. You were brave to take the leap.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it was quite frightening. I still remember. I'm looking out the window of the office right now, and I remember having conversations in the car park with people that I know quite close to me, going, "Well, good luck. Hope it doesn't go bad for you and fail and blah blah blah." And it's like, okay, but if you attacked life like that, you're not going to do anything. You wouldn't leave the house.
Yeah.
So I just said, look, let's put it all out there. Let's go all in. And we didn't have a plan B. My wife fully supported what we did. My in-laws were actually a huge part of it as well. They lent me $50,000 to kick this off.
Yep.
Yeah, which was paid back very quick, which was, again, I was proud to be able to do that, because that could have gone, that could have disappeared and just gone, okay, that was a bad investment, bad luck, sorry, guys. But, I think they're super proud of where we are today as well. Like, we've got nearly we're around 20 staff, and, we've been here for about 15, 16 years now.
Okay. Now, Adam, I know that networks are really important in your business, and particularly your own personal networks along with your own personality and ability, but how important is the branding? Because it's mostly a franchised industry, isn't it?
It's a good question, because you do question it occasionally. Go, what value do you get from the brand and paying that? And the royalties are quite significant. But I still, to this day, truly believe it's a business of attraction because of that brand. Like it makes life easier to recruit. There's a lot of infrastructure behind the scenes now with all the tech support and things like that as well. And my team like to work for a brand. Like if this was Natonewski Real Estate,
Yep.
you know, it'd be pretty boring. I'd say there's no leaderboards, there's no benchmark, there's no, you know, you can't go to Bali and see a Ray White board, or you can't go to Melbourne and see a Ray White board, or go to Queensland, walk into a Ray White office. You know, it's common knowledge that you can do that. If you need to print something off or go check an email or get someone in Hampton in Queensland to do something for you, you pick up the phone and everyone's got full, you know, happy to help each other.
Yeah.
Or refer clients. That we recently referred an apartment sale to the Gold Coast and picked up a fee out of just doing that, just by a client that we met here who was selling something on the Gold Coast. Refer it up there, they sold it, we get paid, they get paid, everyone's happy.
Yep.
You can't really do that as an independent. You might save some fees, but it's great to be part of a team, and all the training and all the events that they put on is also great to be part of.
Yep.
They're certainly big on getting together and celebrating success. And I know you mentioned Barry Plant before. I know I had a friend that used to organise his conventions for him, and they were big shooting matches, I've got to tell you.
Yep. They are. Like at our annual awards event, we've got approximately 1,500 people at that event now. Like it's a sellout.
Yeah.
And there's no venue in Victoria that's big enough to host us now.
Oh, wow. I see you've won quite a few awards when I had a quick squiz down your website. So you're leading the charge as well. Yeah,
well, you sort of go into the business as a selling principle, I guess, and you've got a point to prove, and to keep the lights on, I guess, as they say, you've got to knock on doors yourself. Like you've got to do it. So it was good that I had a good grounding, a good training. I was a good agent before I started this, so I just continued that, and obviously just had to work a bit harder, turn up the heat a bit more, just to ensure that we didn't go broke and we kept the dollars coming in. I had that burning desire, and still to this day, I get a buzz out of like transacting property and putting a sold sticker on a board, like still 20 years later, which is great.
No, I won't ask for an opinion, but just the danger with being under a national brand that has a huge reputation is when it goes sour. And if you look north to Werribee, it can create all sorts of ill feeling with people starting to think, well, is my local Ray White like that? So I'm not asking you to comment because I don't want to get into the depths of it. But I assume you stand head and shoulders above all that. And
100%. It's all about, obviously, the industry itself is integrity. But we do get tarred with the same brush.
Yep.
And it does from time to time. You might lose. And it's happened before where we've gone into a house and, we're up against 4 other agents and purely we've missed out because they go, we've had a bad experience with a Ray White in Bundaberg and we can't let that go. And it's like, okay, mate, Friday. Like, what are we supposed to do about that? And that was back in, 2006 in Ray White Bundaberg. I don't know who they are or what they did, but you're not going to go with us because of that. That's pretty crazy, but that's what they just don't let go. But the other flip of the coin is that we win a lot of business because they've had good experiences with Ray White. Ray White.
That's your reputation. It creates extra business. Now, just talking real estate, the press is full of issues at the moment, and the political elections coming up, and they're talking about taxes. And through Mark and I, through our network, we are pretty close to what's going on with holiday homes, second homes, land tax. What's your overall feel of where all this is going?
Well, that's, huge speculation at the moment. And the next few months will be very interesting because obviously the federal budget will be released, I think it's in May. And there's so much about capital gains tax and negative gearing and land tax and all of that vacant property tax and all those taxes you speak of that's making Victoria a very hard place to invest. So that's, my opinion is they need to go easy on all of that and stop making it so difficult for the mum and dad investor.
What about
keeping it simple?
What about the changes in selling rules, talking about bringing in that the vendor has to provide a building inspection and et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, yeah, it's hard not to give an opinion, but when I see all that, and being a business owner, I just think it's ridiculous. And these people making these decisions clearly don't work in real estate, don't own investment properties. They're just not, it's just not real. Like a lot of it's totally irrelevant. And I don't know how it's going to look, because we would favour a building inspector that might be a building inspector that might be quite lenient as opposed to one that's very strict. So It's like, okay, we'll supply a building inspection. We're going to get Mr. Dodgy over here because we know that they're going to put a good report, a favourable report together. No buyer will trust us anyway, and they'll get their own. So it's just a waste of time even talking about that one. Disclosing sale prices. Some owners, there's a house up the road sold for $6 million the other day, and they didn't disclose that price. They don't want it disclosed.
Yeah, it's their privacy. They've sold it. They don't want people to know. Yeah.
There's going to be 12,000 people that are going to hear that on here. But, apart from that, that's their choice. That is their right not to disclose that. That's nothing to do with the agent or the agency.
No.
Some people just don't want their family or their friends to know they've just sold for $6 million.
I was listening to, in fact, it was Ross Stevenson on 3AW, and he has a friend of his rang in who's a well-known conveyancing legal firm in Melbourne. And he made the comment that over 60% of his conveyancing work now is for people selling their holiday home or their investment property.
Yep, correct.
And, what sort of effect is that going to have in the long term?
Well, it'll flood the market, but they're getting forced to sell. And these homes might have been in the families for years and years and years, and they might have been handed down. And, now they're forced to sell because of vacant property tax and all of that, because it's just getting, like, I think it's starting at 1%, and then the second year will be 2%, 3%, 4%, and so on and so forth. So it's getting to the point where you just can't afford to keep that regardless. Even if that's been your family home for 50 years, it's got to go because they're forcing your hand to sell it.
Yeah.
Very sad, very sad. Same as the other one I hear is the working from home.
Yeah.
That's another one in itself. It's like, we can do some of our work from home, but it's like, what about the team? How does that affect the team vibe? How does that affect the mental health? How does that affect the person that's working, answering the phones and the overflow of calls and the overflow of people walking to the office? Like, if they're working from home, they might be able to do some of their job from home, but they're not assisting in the office where they're needed.
Where they're needed and where they're being trained and mentored.
We're paying them a rate, a rate of pay, and that is to do their job. But also, if the phone does ring, to make sure that they're back up to get that, or if the bins need emptied, they can do that. All that's doing by putting something like that in place is forcing us to do stuff offshore. Yeah. Because if your job can be done remotely at home, then it can be done by someone cheaper overseas.
Yeah, that's.
Well, we interviewed a gentleman called Cody Thompson, who went to the Philippines for working in a not-for-profit to help disadvantaged. He now runs call centres up there with 10,000 people is his goal for his employment.
Yeah, in Philippines.
Yep. And if you want to set up your site up there, he would set up a large pod in their buildings, and they'd all wear your uniforms. They'd have your signs around the wall, and no one would know the difference.
And there you go. And you probably get them to work for $30 a day.
That's right.
As opposed to $200 or $300
a day. My
here.
final question, Adam, is your staff. How do you motivate your staff? And maintain that you're in a high pressure business. You've got to maintain the confidence and the trust, it's particularly in property management. I know that's a tough gig. How do you maintain the morale and the confidence in your office?
Well, property management is a very selfless job, and sales can be you're either flying high or you're getting kicked to the curb. There's not really much in between. So it's a tough one. But I guess just ongoing meetings, lots of team togetherness, events. I try and let the clients do a lot of the work for me as well by making KPI of getting reviews.
Yeah.
So I let the clients tell us what's good about them, because a pat on the back from them is obviously stronger than from me. But definitely do a monthly meeting where we do, discuss highlights of the month for each person. Just making it a very family-friendly atmosphere. So we've got a lot of young kids amongst the group as well. So more than welcome to bring them in or bring their pet in if they need to, and just making life a bit easier for them, because I understand it's challenging out there, with sick kids and just getting things to appointments and sporting events, and trying to allow them to not miss any of these important opportunities as well and moments. So but motivation and ongoing motivation is tough. It's something that's I'm not perfect at. I try hard at, but it's difficult because what might motivate Johnny does not motivate Timothy over there. You just got to get down to their level. Like, we do have lots of weekly one-on-ones and just have conversations, not all about work. What's going on at home, what's going on in your life, and how's that all going. It's just being their friend and being genuine about that and actually caring. I think that's important. But it's got to be more, because my team here, over 20 people, I think I've got 4 that have been here for 10 years. So almost from the very start. That's good. And multiple others around the 6 and 5 year mark. So their loyalty is important to me.
All right. The important question for Geelong: which football team do you follow?
I follow Geelong.
Well, we've got
absolutely.
Mark and I are Geelong supporters, but Mark's wife barracks for the
Swans,
and I haven't asked him yet this morning. What's the mood like at home?
She watched the final quarter.
It's early days now. It's really early days. So I think it's still, we don't know who's who in the zoo, and it'll take a few rounds to iron out all the kinks, I think.
So just a quick wrap up, Adam. Ray White Highton, do you do commercial, rentals, and obviously selling?
Yeah, we do cover everything. I guess 95% of our business would be residential.
Yep.
We have a large rental portfolio, but that is made up of commercial as well. But we don't, I don't probably fly that flag as much as residential for sure. So we are known for residential sales and leasing.
Okay, and website, it probably just Google Ray White Highton, I suppose, is the easy
Correct,
way.
yeah, raywhitehighton.com.
Yep.
That's our site. That shows all our current listings and lettings. So there's hopefully something there for everyone.
And your final little question, how do you think the market's going? Is it ticking along? Is it the under sub 1 million houses selling hotcakes? Where's the market?
Between the 600 and 800,000 is the sweet spot. That's still moving really, really well. Obviously, since this week's rate increase news, that's not welcome news. The war's not helping. The fuel increases aren't helping. All that stuff is not helping. But the previous 12 months before all of that was amazing, like our best ever. Yep. And then all of a sudden we're coming into a more of a grind. So I think it'll be consistent. But transaction numbers across Victoria have come back a lot.
Yep.
There's still always someone that needs to buy a house, always needs to sell a house, always needs to lease a house. There's always someone that needs a house. But owners are still probably not accepting the fact that it's come back a bit.
Yep.
So there's a lot of offers on the table that aren't being accepted, a lot of owners that just aren't accepting and basically overall going to keep their home and choose not to sell it.
All right, Adam.
Purely because of price. So
thank you very much for coming on board with us today. And
I love your passion.
And you've got to thank Caitlin for coming to us and saying, listen, you've got to interview my boss.
Oh, I will, yeah. Thanks, Bill and Mark. Yeah, it's been fun.
Okay.
And good luck. Hopefully the things start to turn around in the rest of the world, and then we'll be back to where we should be.
As always, you just got to trust the process, I guess. So we'll do our best.
Excellent.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.